What are we going to do today, Brain?
Sheet metal work. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Happy 2025. As you might be gathering, I'm wandering to the back of the shop because today's project is on this hot rod. If you've been watching the channel at all for a while, you know that I've got lots of sheet metal work ahead of me, particularly over there on that Chevelle on the outside of the car. But I'm not primo yet at welding sheet metal, so I decided we'll do some floor pan work first, which is also sheet metal, for a little bit more practice before we start doing the exterior panels on the Chevelle. Now, let me turn the little light on because I don't have my other light over here. Maybe that'll help. Crawl into this thing. Oh, door bars. Open. Oh, goodness, we're down. We're down. We're down. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the disaster. So, stop laughing at me. I don't know if how well you'll be able to see it, but at some point in time, someone very crudely removed a large section of the tunnel in this car, and later, after that section was removed, someone else did a very simple tech screw piece of sheet metal to cover it up, which was also not exactly great. So we're going to see if I can fix this today. And I did not buy a pre-made panel that matches this. One, because it's a floor pan and it's going to be hidden and it's just a patch on the tunnel. So I figured, you know what, I'll go for it. I've got some sheet metal, some 18 gauge to work with. And so I started cutting up some pieces. And I'm going to do this in two different patches because of this transition right here. I just think it'll be easier to do two patches and then work the two together because this has a much tighter curve to it than it does up here. So I'm going to put this one in, which is kind of knee bent into the shape that it's going to go, and it'll go to that point right there. And then this piece, which is kind of mangly bent a little bit, is kind of pre-shaped for what's going to go here, and then I'll have to probably do a little bit of hammer work to get that seam lined up. That's the plan anyway. So at this point, what I'm going to do next is I'm not going to lap joint this. I know that's what it kind of looks like right now, but that was just because I was trying to get the shape. But because this is all mangled, I am going to basically use this as a template and Sharpie a line around that, and then start cutting it away and see if I can't to do a proper butt joint on this. Because that's what I'm going to need to do on the Chevelle. That's the process over there. The two grooves right here that add a lot of rigidity to the tunnel, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with those at this point. Possibly what I'm thinking might happen is once I get this welded in, I might come back and not weld it from about this region here to here, which you can't tell right now. Hold on, let me get you a little bit closer. All right, there we go. That's a little better. All right, so there's two grooves right here in the tunnel that add a lot of rigidity. And I think what I'm going to do is once this is welded in right about there, I'm going to not weld it from about here to here, and then I'm going to come back and with the nifty little cutting tool, whiz wheel, I'm going to cut a line down in this and cut a line down in this and see if I can't beat that down a little bit, and then see if I can't get that welded a little bit better. Probably leave a little bit of this excess material that's right here that'll go away around it, because this covers that up. Leave some of that and see if I can't work with that to try and get a decent connection through that region. Try and keep some of that rigidity that should be there. But yeah, and then once this piece is glued in right there, then we'll take this piece, it'll go in right here. We'll start probably back here at this back corner and work it around. So then we'll just have to work with getting this edge and this edge mated up to actually seal up the gap. So that's the plan. Sheet metal work, lots of sheet metal work. There's a few other small spots in this floor pan that I may cut out and do little patch panels out of just raw sheet metal. And we also have this guy over here, as you can see, is a different piece of metal than the rest of the floor pan. I don't know how bad it is under there yet, but because of how big that patch was, you might be able to see it back over there. There's a point right there, that tall plastic leaning up against the rack. That is a complete pan. I did go ahead and buy that. It goes from right back here all the way up to the toe board under there. I don't think I'm going to do all of it, because this section that's under the seat and the back seat section's pretty good. Not really any major problems there. So I'm probably only going to use the front section. But to be completely fair, that piece right there was only like $10 more than buying just the toe board section. I don't know why the toe board section is so expensive in comparison for how much you get, but it made more sense to buy that whole piece. And then I've got some extra stuff that can be used if I decide I want to do a patch back here or anything when I start looking at it, which I'm pretty sure I'm not going to worry about anything back there. But, you know, we'll see as I get back over that direction. Worst case, it also gives me some other contours to work with as far as fixing some other spots, like, let's see if I can get my butt out of the way, like this spot right there. Yeah, I can put my finger through the floor. We're going to need to do a patch right there. So I might be able to get a nice curved piece. That's a pretty flat piece. I could probably make one, but you know, we might have some scrap off of that will work for that as well. So that's the plan. I'm going to get to doing some prep work to get those panels in. We may splash screen a few things here and there, maybe a little bit of time lapse. And when I get to something that presumably somewhat interesting, maybe we'll do some more detailed video on exactly what it is that I run into. Otherwise, see if I can zip out a couple of patch panels on this floor to officially get 2025 started. I know in the last video we posted, we wished everybody a Happy New Year's and a great start to 2025. We recorded that before New Year's, so technically this is the first video of doing work in 2025. So we might as well try and do something productive on day one of 2025, because we definitely have some nasty weather coming, and that may slow things down because it might get kind of cold. But yeah, who knows? We'll see what happens. But for now, I just need to get out of this damn car, around this bar again without falling on my backside. Well, they're still humming away. That'll turn off here in a second. But anyway, I thought I'd catch you up on where I'm at. You've probably seen and know from watching the time-lapse video. But the first patch is spotted in. Fitment could have been a little bit better. Need a little more practice on the fitment. The curvatures here were a little difficult for me to get worked out. You know, my amateur hour work over here. But I think we're in pretty good shape, and once this welds out, I think it's actually going to be pretty good. What I ended up doing is, I don't know, you can't, oh, let me turn this down just a little bit. So right here, there's a recess in the floor pan that transitions up here somewhere on the factory tunnel to being flat. And well, obviously my patch panel doesn't have that recess in it. So what I ended up doing is I slotted it right here in the corners of the recess and brought it up a little bit so that I could bring it up to where my patch panel was, and I think that that's going to line out pretty good. I am noticing that some of this floor pan, where down here the metal is a little bit thin, it did want to punch through a little bit, so we'll just have to work that a little bit slow as we weld it in. Part of that's because there was already a hole drilled there, and I'm going to have to fill a couple of these holes because I didn't cut them all the way out. And then this edge, the gap ended up a little bigger right here in the middle than I'd like, but it's definitely doable. The top's a little tighter than it needs to be, especially right in this region. I actually may need to cut this weld out and work that a little bit. And then I was telling you earlier about these two grooves right here. After I spent some time thinking about it, I'm still doing something similar to what I said about coming back after this is welded here and here, and slotting right here a little bit to bring this panel down. But I did the same thing on this side because I figured if I still had that piece underneath here, I was gonna have to do a lot of work laying on my back underneath the car to try and get rid of it and get it flattened out and lined up. So what I ended up doing is I cut it off and then slotted these a little bit so that I could bring them up. What putting that slot in is, as you bring, if you've got that groove and you cut and you try and bring it up, it's going to want to wrinkle. So if you cut a slot out, when you bring it up, hammering on it, that it starts closing that slot back up. So that's what I did here as well. Same principle as what I did down there. And yeah, I think it worked out pretty good. I just got to go through and zip-zappy away on there and get that welded in, and hopefully we don't have any issues there. This spot right here is a little bit wonky. It's probably going to end up getting cut out, especially since it's all mangled right here as well. And that'll all be taken care of by our second patch panel. That'll go in somewhat like that. This one's going to be even more of a pain as far as the curvatures, because you've got a real sharp curve right here on the tunnel, and then a soft roll that kind of transitions. Nothing's consistent, nothing's straight in this region. So what this is probably going to end up being is start, you know, tack it in and work it, tack it in and work it. Kind of like you saw what I did here is I got some tacks in. I had a low spot, so I got it tacked in up here, and then bead on it from the backside. This is not going to be as easy to do that with because I can't just reach around to the backside. I don't have this hole to get in there. But we'll see. It'll be what it'll be. And we're just going to keep trucking forward. But that's the update. I think that this, at least this portion of it, I think is going to come out pretty good. And, well, we'll see here in, well, what'll probably only be a couple of minutes for you as I go zipping away here. Camera is kind of low on battery, so I am going to throw it into a time lapse, but if it cuts off before I'm done, it's probably because the camera died. So we'll let's see where we
wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see.
All right, camera had to go sit on the charger for a little bit, but I got that panel mostly welded in. I'll give you a look at what we got, and then we're going to address that one part where I was talking about the 2 grooves that we got to sink on in. We're going to do that in real time, so you can see exactly what I do. That way, if it works out the way I think it will, you'll know, hey, that's something I can do if I got to do something similar. Or if it doesn't work out, you'll be like, oh yeah, don't do it that way. So anyway, here's what we're looking at. Sorry, I'm adjusting. And of course, you know, the welder's over there making a bunch of noise still. But you can see the, not too shabby. I haven't done any cleanup on the welds at all. That's exactly how they finished. There was a few spots down here, get out of the way, light, down here where it, the old metal kind of buggered up on me a little bit, and I had to clean it out and redo it. But overall, I think that looks pretty good. I wonder what the penetration looks like. Should we take a look underneath? I haven't actually looked yet. I think we take a look underneath and see if I got decent penetration and how boogered up it looks down there. What's the easiest way to, oh yeah, we can see it. If I crawl in here where the motor goes, because the motor is out, transmission was too close to the tunnel to do this, and then come to find out it was way easier having the motor out of the way. Anyway, all right, now, ow, knees, old man knees. Adjusting, hold on, stick with me. Okay, all right, turn the camera around so you can see, and I can show you what we got. Oh yeah, there was an undercoating under here. That probably played a part in this doing some weirdness too with the spot welds, but overall that penetration looks pretty good. You can see right down there, that was that spot inside where I said it boogered up, and you can see that I had to fight it a little bit. But that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. A little wire brushwork down here on the bottom side, and a coat of some paint of some sorts, and that'll be ready to rock. So no complaints. That little ArcCaptain welder that I've got, phew, making that job way easy. Can't complain about that little welder, especially considering the price. I think I got it while it was still on sale for the holiday season, like 350 bucks. Well spent $350. Even if all I ever do with it is sheet metal. So let me readjust and get the light put back up, and we'll tackle that one spot here real quick. We'll be right back. All right, I'm ready to do this here. So like I said, we've got these 2 dips right here, and I've already slotted them, and I brought the end up before this panel went in, so that's come up a little bit, but this panel still needs to go down a little bit. And I wonder, we may not need to slot this. The metal may stretch enough. So I'm going to start by just using a hammer and dolly and see if I can work it down a little bit. If it doesn't want to go, we might have to slot it just a little bit. so that it'll sink in correctly. I will do what I can. Oh, thank you, welder. That's so polite of you. Another nice feature about that little ArcCaptain is the fan only runs when it needs to run. So you don't have to listen to it all the time. But what I was saying is I will do what I can do to dumb the audio down, and hopefully this doesn't put too much vibration in the camera. But we're gonna work this. I am gonna use this this wedgie end of the hammer. We're gonna call it the wedgie because I'm sure it's got a name, but I don't know. But I can say that since having these, man, I use them way more than I ever thought I would. Oh yeah, that's going right down into place. Okay, so my metal's a little overlapped on that one. I might actually go underneath and trim that and not trim it from the top because I don't want to cut away. I don't want to make a full blade width slot right there. I think that's a little much of a pain to fill up, but this that's gonna work out nicely. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little trimming from underneath because it's the this piece on the back right here is just a little too long for it. The two seams to line up just right. You know what? I saw a video because I've been watching lots of video on doing sheet metal work because of how much I have to do. Saw a video where a guy said that he took his cutter, instead of plunge cutting straight, he cut at an angle, which I'm not going to be able to do with this one, and it gave him a smaller seam. So let's give that a try. Worst I got to do is I got to fill it in with weld, and a zipped up blade width is definitely doable. A little tighter is a little bit easier and cleaner, but at least so far with my limited experience. But let's see if we can do it. A little bit more, little bit more. Okay. That might need just a pinch of cleanup on the bottom to get the little piece of metal off of there. But let's see how that fits. We do a little bing banging on it. That right there is not too bad. Yeah, oh, perfect. That lines up good. Oh yeah, we can just zip that right on in right now. Hopefully that's not too big of a gap right there and it makes it ugly. Let's see what we get. Ooh. So there's what I was talking about. That gap was a little wide. Now I punched a hole in it. That's going to take me a couple minutes to fill up, and I think that this gap right here is probably a little wide too. I'm going to work from back here and work towards my new metal because I actually think the floor pan's a little bit thicker metal than the 18 gauge I put in. Oh. All right, I let that cool off. I think I let it get a little too hot, and now I got a nice fat gap in there. But it can be fixed. The hammer and dolly, that's an experience thing. I definitely made it hot, that's for sure. I went way too fast doing those. But that method of knocking that down and getting it lined up wasn't too bad. That zip cut method, but maybe with more practice, I can get better at doing the welding side of it and filling that amount of gap with a single spot weld. But apparently, I'm not quite there yet. Well, let this cool off for a few minutes, and then see if I can't close up that gap, and we'll clean the welds up a little bit, and that's probably going to be about it for this video. It's getting kind of late in the day. And it's back to work tomorrow, so that other remaining hole, we'll have to tackle that another day. But yeah, let me get this, try and finish this up and clean it up, and we'll take another look at it. I mean, I'm only going to half clean it just a little bit because, well, there's a bunch more to do still. So yeah, that's that for now. There's more coming. Don't go away yet. Yeah. Go figure. Right at the end, the battery dies. Missed a spot. Got it. Didn't get it. I got it that time. I got it that time. All right, so what I can tell you is that this has not exactly been a comfortable spot to work in until I figured out sitting here like this was the way to do it. Earlier I was crouching on my knees and trying to lean. I was trying to reach from outside the car. None of that worked worth a damn. My back is sore, my knees hurt. And so I sat down and went, oh man, this is so much better. So take the time when you're gonna do something like this and try and figure out what a comfortable position is, because once I got comfortable, man, it got so much easier. So check it out. Oh wait, turn the light on. There we go. That top part that I told you about where I blew through, it's all fixed up. We got a little extra grinding that'll have to be done to clean up the weld there, but that's fixed up. And all I did was, like you saw, as I hit this with a wire brush, on the grinder for the total amount of time that you actually saw me using it. I didn't wire brush this at all before. And the spatter, well, there is basically no spatter whatsoever. We just got to clean up these welds. They're a little taller in some areas, and that's just that's user. I might have been running a little bit cold on the welder, so the weld didn't, you know, flatten out, or whatever it is, the terminology they use for it. It's not quite as flattened out as it could be. But we looked underneath, and I showed you what the penetration looked like, and they're full the welds are all the way through, so it's not, you know, just a nipple on the top surface. A little bit of time with a flap disc. Oh hell, let's hit part of it with a flap disc and see how it flattens out. I'm sure there's going to be some spots where I've got to come back and hit a couple of spots that were missed. I'm certain of that, just because my spacing's not perfect, and my practice isn't perfect, and my weld sizes aren't all exactly the same thing. But once I get the second panel in, then I'll go through. I'll put a light under the car on the back side of the panel. Helps if you put the dang key on. I put a light under the car so it shines up at the weld, and then take my Sharpie and just mark all the spots where the light's shining, where I can see this light coming through the weld. And then it'll take a couple more minutes, a little zip zappy zap, to knock those down. But watch out, cars! Watching out, you got your eyes all on. I hope so. Oh man, I hope you were wearing your eye pro, because I threw all them sparks right at you. And seriously though, if that made you jump, if those sparks coming at the screen made you jump, you have to go down in the comments and say, you got me. You got me. I want to know it. If it didn't make you jump and you had your eye probe on, it was no big deal, then good on you. Anyway, let me show you how that one spot cleaned up, and that was just well, you saw how much I cleaned it up. There was no faking that one. Here we go. Oh man, the reflections are killing the view. There we go. So, yeah, right there, it cleaned up pretty good. There's still more to knock down, but yeah, once a little bit of work like that, and that weld's going to disappear. And we know it's solid because the penetration on the backside is rock solid, and the overall shape, not too bad for just being literally bent over my knee and kind of, you know, manipulated by hand. I didn't use any forming tools or anything to make that piece, and we just got this guy right here to do, and the tunnel will be patched up. So, because I'm being lazy, we're going to sign off this video from right here in the car, because I'm tired. My knees hurt, my back is sore, and my batteries are all dying. So, well, we'll see you guys on the next one.